Hi, and welcome to the show. There's a type of drug being used all around schools that is guaranteed to attract a lot of kids. Tonight, we're going to talk about this type of drug that's being used and look at a state law that was just passed weeks ago in the state of Texas. This is all about vaping. It's a type of thing that all people use, a device to use like cigarettes. Something like that. So, why is it so popular in our schools? Because all kids under 21 get these vapes, get these devices, and no one knows what it does. We're also going to talk about the side effects of vape. We'll get to that in just a minute. Yeah, we'll get to that right now. Let's start by looking into the definition of vape. Just work a little masterpiece in here. It's a Type C to HDMI cable. As I told you in the intro, it's connected to the laptop, to the TV. We should be getting a good signal. Very good. It's also an electronic cigarette. According to Wikipedia, an electronic cigarette vape is a device that simulates tobacco smoking. It consists of an atomizer and power source, which has a battery container such as a cartridge or a tank filled with liquid. Instead of smoke, the user inhales vapor, as such using an e-cigarette something called vaping. Now that we know the definition, let's look up the side effects. Because like cigarettes, they cause cancer, heart disease, emphysema, and may complicate pregnancy. These can cause a cough. These are side effects. I mean, these are just things from across the web. But the facts are that vaping is really bad. Here are the side effects of vaping. The most common side effects of vaping include coughing, dry mouth and throat, shortness of breath, mouth and throat irritation, and headaches. These are associated with inhaling vapor and are also associated with smoking. The risks of vaping are the unknown risks. Vaping has been around long enough to know the risk of long-term use, but it's less harmful than smoking. Because really, when you smoke a cigarette, you're having more effects. It's the nicotine. And back in the 1990s, back in the 1940s, 1990s, the media covered Brown and Williamson. And Brown and Williamson sued ABC and the news magazine Day One because of its use of tobacco products. They also paid legal fees, and what happened? Also, Jeffrey Wigand was on 60 Minutes because of what he talked about when he worked with the tobacco industry. Because he signed that contract when he first worked with them. But the safety risks of this is like we talked about the side effects. So obviously when you're looking at the side effects of vaping, you obviously have to look at the total picture here. And so underage kids are now getting these vapes from the vape store. I'm not going to tell you where, because the minute this episode's over, you're going to go out there, you're going to go get those vaping electronic cigarettes, and you're going to go out there and vape. We need those things banned. I'll tell you what I have to say in the broadcast. But this has to stop. And frankly, something has happened. I mean, in schools, people are vaping in schools, but kids are using disguises of vape, like a pencil, a pen, a highlighter, a glue stick. Those things can be used to disguise vaping, and no one can even see the smoke or smell the vape. You can't taste it. You can't taste it. You can't smell it, but you can see the vape smoke. That's what you can see. And I've heard about an incident here in Fallball, which I'm not going to talk about because I don't want to throw them under the bus. But there is some great news. Coming up next, there's a new state law happening that's in effect that could help schools crack down on vaping in school and at school-sanctioned events. Stay with us. As the new school year begins, there is great news out there for people in Texas. With vaping happening in all of our schools, state lawmakers in Texas are putting a stop to it. What is that, you may ask? That right there is House Bill 114, which is strictly prohibiting vaping. The law says, House Bill 114 is a Texas law that requires schools to take disciplinary action against students who are caught vaping or using marijuana on campus. The law states that students may be removed from class and placed in a disciplinary alternative education program, DEAP, or expelled from school. The length of time for a student to be placed in the program is determined by the school district. For instance, the Austin Independent School District places students in these programs for 20 days. It took effect September 1st. And this bill is all about House Bill 114. That's section 37.006A. Subsection A. That's all under section 37. We're not going to go through all of this, but what I want to do is read you a portion of the law. Alright, so let's go to section 37.006. A student shall be removed and placed in a disciplinary alternative education program provided by section 37.08008. If the student engages in conduct violating public school and contains elements of offensive false alarm report under section 42.06 Penal Code, terrorism under section 22.7 Penal Code, or commits the following on and within 300 feet of school property measured from any point of the school's real property boundary line, or while attending a school-sponsored or school-related activity on or off school property. Engaged in conduct punishable as felony. Engaged in conduct that contains elements from the offense assault under section 22.01 section 8 of the Penal Code. Sells, gives, or delivers to another person possesses or uses is under influence of a controlled substance defined in chapter 481 of the Health and Safety Code. Like vaping or drugs. Engaged in conduct elements, the harassment. So going towards section 37.008, based on conduct occurring off campus and while the student is not in attendance at school sponsor or school activity, if the superintendent or superintendent's design has a reasonable belief that the student is engaged in conduct defines a felony offense other than aggravated robbery or section 29.3 of the Penal Code. All these sections are all about this type of vaping. And this all covers section 37.06 through section 37.05. If disciplinary alternative education program is at capacity at the time of campus behavior coordinators deciding that placement under subsection A for students engaged in conduct described under section 37 that constitutes violent conduct as defined conventional rule, a student who has been placed in the program for conduct described as described, they may be removed from the program and placed in in-school suspension to make position of the program available. If removed from the program under subdivision 1, then should be returned to the program. So that's probably the end of the rainbow here, section 37.09. Now that we've looked at the thing, there's also some great news for schools that are cracking down on vaping. Think about this. Can you imagine going in the bathroom and looking up at the ceiling and asking yourself, what is that weird device out there? You go around asking questions and they tell you, maybe it's a smoke detector, maybe it's a camera. But what it actually is a device that can set off an alarm in a bathroom if somebody is vaping in the bathroom. And like we talked about, there was an incident that happened where somebody knew about it. But I'm not going to go into this issue about what happened here, because if I did, then everybody could just be coming at me hard. But some great news is really happening here, and see if I can look for it while I'm trying to speak to you, because while we're looking at this, I do want to tell you, while I'm looking at this, finding out about this, I do want to point out something that's brand new. It's going to be happening. We're going to have some new segments throughout this season. Like, we are going to be discussing, we're going to be giving you a school guide with some tips from Ned's School Guide. We're not going to show you the show, but what we are going to do is read you the tips. That way you'll know how to survive middle school. There it is. So, if you remember 2 weeks ago, if you were in Beeville, you may recognize a device that you may or may not have seen. That's something can be found in that bathroom. And with the state law being passed, 2 school districts you're about to see are using this to track down on vaping, meaning it will set off an alarm like a smoke detector. So really, the question is, could other schools be using this? Here's Michael Gibson.
Toloso Midway Middle School Principal Melanie Arias showed us the newest tool she has at her disposal to combat vaping on campus.
It's pretty accurate. So it's a good tool as administrators because it'll alert us, and that way we can come down and we can start with the investigation.
Vaping is becoming a bigger problem among younger folks across the country, as you can see from some of these government statistics from 2022. The Toloso Midway District just installed the monitors inside these bathrooms this summer. They too were starting to see a growing number of students starting to vape until now.
I can tell you that the number of vape incidents has gone down because students know that these sensors are in the bathroom.
This is CCISD's alternative school, known as the Student Support Center, or SSC. Beginning on Friday, a new state law mandates that students caught with tobacco vape have to be sent here. Last school year, CCISD says it caught 273 high school students and 176 middle schoolers vaping, but most weren't sent here.
House Bill 114. And so what it basically does is it takes nicotine vaping, which currently wasn't an offense we typically remove to our discipline campus, like you referred to. But now, if they are nicotine vaping on a campus or at a campus related event, then they can remove them to the discipline campus.
Meanwhile, this Tolosa Midway principal says the vaping monitors here are working. CCISD tells 3 News that Carroll High has the vape system and that every new school built will be equipped as well. Michael Gibson, 3 News.
All right, now let's talk about this. Let's throw in some common sense. Would you expect to find this tool in your school bathroom? Could it be a great idea? I think it's a great idea for every school to use. Not just Tulsa, but CCNC is also doing this. So there's 2 school districts that are doing this. But there needs to be more of these vaping devices, vape detectors, in our schools. So if I were you, I'd get to your local school board. As parents, I would call your school board up right now. Call them up. I would go to your next board meeting and start talking about this and have them put this on the agenda, because this needs to stop. Middle schoolers and high schoolers, this has got to stop. And parents, you need to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. If I were you, I would watch this show right now with your child, because one day your child could be coming home with that electronic cigarette. They too could be vaping, and you have to ask yourself, what do I do? Here's what I do with it. I wouldn't whoop his ass. I'd take it out of his hands. I would throw it in the garbage. If he spent his hard-earned money, well, be like Julius. That's $20 worth of vape. Something like that. Your child needs to learn that when you choose behavior, you choose the consequences. Doing drugs is bad. There's a time and place to do this, and it's outside your parents' roof when you're over 18. The legal age for vaping . The legal age to vape is 21, but middle schoolers are doing this under 21. In all states, you have to be 21 or older to vape. These vape detectors, we really need those. And with another question, can you buy vape detectors online? Yes, you can. I don't think you can, but if you were to Google vape detectors, you would find it's a thing for parents. Workplace, school vape detectors. You may click over here. You may go to Zepative.com, and you may just go get a quote from these people, and they will tell you about these things. And and I hope that Florida Blood talks to CCISD and Ultimos Limmer about this. It's an issue that needs to be stopped. You go on Google, click on the shopping tab, you will find at-home detectors. I think they cost like around $500, $300. There's even one that costs like $1,000, or a portable one. A test pencil. That's vape. That's a vape pen. People are using vape pens to vape. Talk to your child about this. But this isn't over yet. We're going to learn more about House Bill 114 and look at some other schools that are doing this, that are enforcing the law and putting a crackdown on this. We'll have that for you when we return. Please stay with us. Before we go to other cities in Texas that are enforcing House Bill 114, let's hear what Judge Joe Benavides has to say about all of this and what he's teaching the community. Take a look.
More teens are showing up in court having to answer to one Coastal Bend judge about being caught vaping. Judge Joe Benavides joins us live with how he is tackling this issue. Sir, it's so good to have you on. It's been quite some time, but in-house is nice. How serious is this? You have a lot of kids showing up in your courtroom.
Absolutely, and it's getting out of control. But it's not only one ISD; it's throughout Nueces County, and we're just trying to educate the community on the harmful effects of vaping.
You were telling me about 50 kids a week?
50 kids a week being cited for vaping on school campus, which is illegal.
And what are they vaping now? Are we talking about marijuana, nicotine?
Well, it depends. If it's tobacco, the vape pens are really consist of chemicals within that vape pen. But a large majority, if it's drugs, then it goes to a higher court, which is a county court. But if it's tobacco, then it goes through my courtroom.
So you have a pretty unique way to tackle this. You're hosting a poster contest, but you're not going after these teens specifically. You're going after the younger kids to get them to influence the teens.
Absolutely. You have the younger siblings that look up towards their older siblings, but this is like a reverse psychology thing I'm doing on my own. And I thought I would do this poster essay contest, and it's now, the older siblings are probably vaping, so, and if they're not, that's fine, but they look down to their younger siblings, watching them doing the poster contest and the essay, and hopefully that will positively affect them by saying, no, I'm not going to do vaping. Vaping is very serious, it's very harmful, and it affects the brain, the heart, the lungs.
Especially in that early childhood development. Who else takes responsibility for this? Can we put this on the parents?
Well, I'll tell you what, parents are getting frustrated. I'm getting frustrated. Parents are doing the best they can, but I think it's a partnership within the school system, the parents, and the court system. And all we want to do is educate not only the parents, but the kids, the harmful effects of vaping. And I have also a couple other individuals that partnered up with me, and I'd like to, Dr. Patel, which is very educated on this part on vaping, and also Sheila Tello from Safe Home Health. We partnered up and tried to put out there and educate the parents and the kids about, please say no to vaping. It's dangerous.
Ultimately, what is the punishment for a kid that ends up in your court?
Yes, first and foremost, I've created a program that they have to mandatory go to, and also you have fines, you have community service, and the community service is done with the parent. It's not only the child, so I order them to have the parent there while they do that.
And it's not one of those like, oh, this is not a big deal, I'm not going to get in too much trouble, but yes, if they end up in your court, they're already in the step in the wrong
direction. And the community service I supervise, I go out there and make definitely sure that the kids are out there and the parents are out there.
Judge Benavides, we really appreciate you coming in, and we're going to have all this information on this poster contest on our website after the show, KIIITV.com, but this is what to look out for if you see it on our website. Judge, always a pleasure. Thank you for everything you're doing in the community and getting our kids in tip-top shape, keeping them on the straight. Thank you. Hey, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
You know what? I'm going to start creating a new Facebook group talking about this. No vaping. One of my main goals was to stop bullying and speak up. One of my new goals this season, because of this, is to I wouldn't say end the silence on vaping, but I would not call it end the silence on vaping or end the silence of school vaping. I don't know which one you think sounds nice. I mean, I'm going to create this group, and I'm going to create this new Facebook group because this is really a serious issue. And 4 years ago, Carolyn started cracking down on vaping. Let's take a look.
We are hearing from parents after Cal Allen ISD announced it will crack down on vaping. Last week, the district sent out a letter to parents warning them that students are not allowed to have a vape or use one on campus. Our Taylor Alanis joins us from Cal Allen High School with what parents are saying. Taylor.
Yeah, the parents I spoke to say they can agree with the district in that they believe that vaping among students has become an epidemic and this measure was needed to make it stop. Now, district officials say they've had the policy against vaping since November and tried using their disciplinary code of conduct as well as providing info to parents to help them deter their kids from vaping, but it wasn't enough. Not only will kids caught vaping have that infraction on their record, now they will be issued a citation from police. As far as how much the citations will be for vaping or possessing a vape on campus, district officials say that is up to the court and judge to make that decision.
It needs to be out of the kids' hands, and it's not good for a warning first, I think, and then if they catch them a second time, then they should give them a citation.
Some parents I spoke to off camera say they are glad that the school is doing more because they are seeing this fad grow among teenagers, especially teenagers here at this district. Now, school district encourages parents to find out more information and to talk to their kids about the dangers associated with vaping, nicotine, and tobacco. Now, the district says this policy also goes for students that are 18 or older because vapes aren't allowed at campus at all. For now, live at Calallen High School, Taylor Alanis, 3 News.
Okay, Taylor, thanks.
And that was 4 years ago. But more has got to be changed. And I don't know about this new Facebook group name I'm going to call, but it's going to be created soon. It's going to be created this year. And on there, we're going to have some tips. We're going to have some information for you. We're going to have clips. And I'm also going to have this episode on the show on the group, that way y'all can get a better understanding of what this happened, of what this issue is. Because let me tell you, it has got to stop. And if I were you, I'd talk to your kids right now during this break. And speaking of a break, let's take a break right now. Coming up next, cities in Texas that are enforcing House Bill 114 with their own changes. Stay with us. Here in Corpus Christi and Oasis County, there are a bunch of vape shops that you can find near you. And there's some here in Fall Bluff, which I'm not going to name names because the minute I start naming names, you're going to go out there and you're going to get this vape. You're going to go out there and get vape. I mean, the right age to smoke, to do vape is 21, but middle schools are doing it because of one thing. A Texas under 21 ID. That's right. If you're under 21, you can basically get this ID and you can basically get whatever you want. You get beer, cigarettes, whatever. It's a basic loophole for minors. A basic loophole. I was only 21 when I got this, and when I got that ID, I never bought drugs. I never bought alcohol. But if I did, I'd regret to the day, and I'd be guilty about it. But there are a bunch of vape shops, and with those under 21 IDs, every child can get it. You're going to hear from the police and what the vape owners are saying. Here's Asher Gonzalez.
It was a sledgehammer or a bat, but they tried to break in this one, but it just cracked. They couldn't get in. I think they gave up a little bit, and then they came back and tried this one, and then they got in.
In the last few months, thieves in the coastal bend are targeting a specific business.
We have had noticeable burglaries at vape shops recently.
Mad Monkey is one of the many shops getting hit by a bunch of criminals. They have 5 locations.
We have one in Calallen, Portland, Flower Bluff, and then 2 here in Corpus, Everhart, and then Staples and Weber.
Take a look at this video from one of their shops off Everhart. You can see 4 people get out of a silver Ford SUV. The thieves covering their face only take a few minutes before breaking in. That's when the video stops. A Mad Monkey employee says they took 2 full bags of their product from the store. Things he says are not all that expensive or valuable, but high in demand.
Disposable vape devices, nicotine salt, Delta 8 like CBD, and some vape devices like in general that they got from the back. But other than that, I mean, that's really all they're taking. But I mean, that's a specific thing because that's what people are after.
They've been broken into 4 times in the last 5 months, 2 times in 1 week. And Mad Monkey isn't the only shop getting hit. Fire Vape off of Staples is too.
They took the register behind the counter, just under the computer. It's where we keep everything.
Fire Vape has been broken into 2 times, the last time being in January, where around $800 worth was stolen.
Each register would probably be about $500. We had a laptop stolen, it was probably $250.
They say recently it became harder for people to buy most vaping products online, something that could be contributing to this spike in break-ins.
To buy stuff online, you have to submit like your business license and all that stuff to your distributor. So basically, like, if you don't have a proper vape business, you can't buy stuff online anymore.
These picked up on the demand, then got to work.
Quick turnaround for profit. If it's something easy to take, in their opinion, to be able to make quick money off of, they're going to do it.
The people who broke into Mad Monkey and Fire Vape have not yet been caught. Ashley Gonzalez, 3 News.
Thank you, Ashley, for that.
But more has got to be done. What's it going to take to shut down a vape shop? I mean, if you Google, can you shut down a vape shop? Because that's, I mean, I would not even let my child go in there. Vape stores should not be open for people under 18, under 21. If they're under 21, not allowed in. I mean, you sold it to a minor with a fake ID, that's the reason for them to be shut down. So, things can happen. But nobody else will know. Alright. Now the thing let's go back now to House Bill 114. As we talked about, in September 1st, the state of Texas has a law on the Education Code, Section 37. That's the House Bill 114. That's the vaping bill. It means that if a student vapes, they can be caught and be placed on an alternative school program, like we've seen. But let's take a look at San Antonio installing those vape devices. But if the law should say that they're required to install those vape devices, could they be installed? Well, if it's up to the school district to install them, depending on how much money they got, then maybe. Take a look.
Well, as the new school year begins, a recent FDA report shows 1 in 4 teenagers regularly vapes, and it's increasingly happening inside schools. Now more school districts are cashing in on vape detectors, including Montgomery ISD in the Houston area. The vape detectors are inside every high school bathroom. The new tech can pick up the vapor, and both the vape pens and the e-cigarettes emit. Instead of blaring a smoke alarm, an alert will instantly pop up on the principal's email.
We're either able to respond directly to the restroom, see if they're still there. Otherwise, we go into investigation mode.
While discipline is automatic for anyone who gets caught, deterrence rather than detection is the primary goal. Experts say the big key to stopping teens from vaping is to talk to them about the risks and potential impact on brain development.
But most parents are not doing that. They want to be their kids' friends. My kids make all their friends at the school. I'm the father. I'm the daddy. Because you and me, you keep doing what you want to do, we ain't going to be having no activities in a minute. I mean, that's the problem now. Parents are being friends with their kids and giving them privacy. It's like, I'm not going to Johnny's room, it's private. That's not his privacy. That's your house. You pay the rent. You pay the electric bill. You pay for the groceries. If your child pitched in on the rent, the groceries, and the light bill, then that's his house too. That's part of his house too. That's only if it happens. But nothing is being done. Let's go back now to House Bill 114. For more
Just a few short weeks, thousands of students across Southeast Texas will head back to school. But this year, anyone caught vaping will be met with new penalties. A new state law mandates that districts enforce stricter punishments for vaping on campus, forcing schools to crack down on the unhealthy trend. Beaumont ISD is already preparing for the change, and they want both students and parents to know tonight it's one strike and you're out. 12 News reporter Cameron Seibert met with a BISD administrator today. And Cam, what's that new rule?
Yeah, Brenda, so in years past, it was at the discretion of the district to handle disciplinary actions for vaping, but now the state is mandating that any student caught with a vape be removed from class and sent to an alternative school.
It's one of the biggest issues at schools across the country, the unhealthy habit plaguing teens, vaping.
We want what's best for our students.
Senior Director of Student Support for Beaumont ISD, Randall Maxwell, wants parents and students to know this school year, vapes will not fly.
Believe you me, we're not going to put up with any foolishness. It's a big enough issue that the legislature felt like it needs to be transitioned from a discretionary placement to a mandatory placement.
Lawmakers in Austin are cracking down. A new bill mandates that any student caught with a vape be removed from class and sent to a disciplinary alternative education program.
This is no longer my kid's going to get in trouble vaping and they're going to go to in-school suspension or ISS. Now they're going to be placed at Pathways.
Students will go straight to the disciplinary program at Pathways, which is ready for the new rules.
We have already thought that out, and we have increased the size and capacity that Pathways could hold. There's going to be a very structured environment at Pathways to get them through restorative discipline back on the right track.
Maxwell hopes students and parents understand the change is to protect their health.
We love you, but you got to follow the rules. We don't want you to vape. We don't want you to vape for health reasons. We don't want you to vape for a lot of different reasons.
And you might also remember a story we told you about a few weeks back. Beaumont ISD is in the process of installing these vape detectors in their bathrooms on certain campuses. Just another measure to crack down on vaping. To read more about that new law going into effect this school year, you can visit our website. Cameron Seibert, 12 News.
But when it comes to vaping, I mean, no one, like I said, no one talks to their kids. But school districts are cracking down on this. Let's go down to Central Texas where 4 weeks ago, they're going to be, they're talking about this law and they are enforcing it. It's up to the parents and this community to enforce the law. Hey, look.
In other news tonight, as kids start the school year, a new state law aims to crack down on vaping on campus. Under House Bill 114, any student caught with an e-cigarette within 300 feet of a school must be sent to an alternative learning facility, regardless of what substance is in that device. KVU's Ford Sanders shows us why school leaders say the new law could protect children.
Despite efforts to turn it around, vaping is nothing new for Texas kids and teens.
They're extremely easy to obtain, and we're seeing them even in our middle schools.
But House Bill 114 requires that public school students who are caught with vapes at school be temporarily placed in alternative schooling. San Marcos Police Sergeant Dan Royston says it's getting harder to catch.
They're concealing them in highlighters, markers, so they're very, very, very clever in how they conceal these.
The Texas Education Agency leaves the length of the punishment up to districts. So Austin ISD leaders plan to keep violators in alternative schooling for 20 days, but also have plans to educate kids.
They learn how to resist peer pressure, and by successfully completing that, students can actually return in 10 days.
AISD discipline official Oscar Adams Jr. says they've already seen success with this program.
We've also seen that once students have returned, our recidivism rate is very low. Most students have, learned from that first mistake.
Liberty Hill ISD's interim police chief says this is about safety because he's seen more kids ingesting dangerous things with these vapes.
I do a demonstration with our kids how easy it is to get inside the vape pens and add other substances, and we heard fentanyl being a big one that doesn't take much to cause some serious damage.
The law technically takes effect on September 1st, but many districts are enforcing it now to set the tone on day one. In Austin, I'm Ford Sanders.
All right, here's one that was talked about 1 month ago. But again, it's all about House Bill 114. The reason for this is to protect the children. Your child could one day be doing this. And they could die. I mean, vaping while you're pregnant. You vape while you're pregnant. I mean, if you start vaping while you're pregnant, it's a real thing. I mean, you vape while you're pregnant, the baby's going to be vaped, and you're going to lose your child forever. That's child abuse. And your child will one day be in foster care. Take a look at this.
Lots of parents have been worrying about this. Vaping in schools. School districts across the state are saying
it is a problem.
So next month, a new state law that imposes harsher punishments on students who are caught with vaping pens or devices is going to go into effect. RJ Metcalf explains what the new law is and also what parents and students need to know before school is back in session.
Vape pens, nicotine, and THC. So yes, it's grown leaps and bounds.
Northside ISD Police Chief Charlie Carnes says he's seen a dramatic increase in the number of students caught with vape pens.
We've gone from approximately 40 cases a month to well over 200 cases a month.
That increase at Northside is just over a 2-year span. Carnes says at the end of last semester, the district had 300 cases in May alone. Northeast ISD had a combined 1,299 cases of THC and nicotine last year. SAISD did not respond in time for this story.
It's harder to detect, and then just the basic of not knowing the consequences.
The consequences for having a vape pen or e-cigarettes on or near campus are about to change. State lawmakers passed House Bill 114 to address the problem.
Parents come to us that they found and maybe in their home, in their child's backpack, in a friend's backpack, vape pens, and they don't have a clue what it is.
So starting in September, any student that's caught with one of these types of devices, a vaping pen, will be mandatorily placed in alternative education. Now this bill includes anyone that's caught selling or under the influence of these types of vaping pens within 300 feet of school property.
The bill also covers any school-sanctioned events like football games. Carnes hopes that parents and students take the new policy seriously.
It's a felony for THC. Vaping THC is a felony. And again, the new laws of administrative discipline, it's heavy, and parents need to know, students need to know what they're up against.
RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
Keep up to date with all of San Antonio's top news, weather, and so much more by clicking the like and subscribe buttons.
Alright, let's throw in some common sense here about this law. We'll do that when we come back. Stay with us. Alright, common sense alert. I didn't see that there. We're talking about vaping in our schools and learn about House Bill 114 if you're just joining us. Welcome back, by the way. Now, this law that we're talking about right now, it's not just schools that need to enforce this, parents. You also need to enforce the law on your child. I know it seems a bit harsh whenever you're talking about enforcing laws on your child, but this is something that's very serious. I mean, if your child does this, you go to someone saying, I don't know what else to do. You have to detox your child. I mean, they're drinking alcohol under the age of 21. You need to detox them immediately. Like that. I mean, it may be hard for people to quit smoking. I mean, you can make them go cold turkey, and voila, without the nicotine patches, without any detoxification, you just go cold turkey, and voila. Hugh Downs did it, and back in the 1940s, and he went cold turkey. Voila, ain't that hard? It's hard to quit. You'd have to go through hell. But with vape, it may not be hard because in vape, there's nicotine. And nicotine is very addictive. And back in the 1990s, the media has covered a bunch on nicotine, starting with a day one investigation on cigarettes that contain nicotine. Well, they got sued by ABC. They got sued by a cigarette company. Well, ABC got sued by a cigarette company who claimed that they're using the misleading nicotine. So how hard is it to quit vaping? For some people, withdrawal symptoms can make quitting hard or frustrating. The good news is uncomfortable feelings of withdrawal will fade over time. If you stay away from vapes, the longer you go without vaping, the more your body can get used to being nicotine free. No one may not know about those nicotine patches, but it could help. Let's take a look at this one from KWTX.
knows that smoking and vaping isn't allowed in schools, while smoking in the boys' room might have resulted in a slap on the wrist years ago, it'll automatically land your student in an alternative school.
As Nate Smith reports, schools are tasked with enforcing a tough new state law that busts vapors who bring the devices anywhere near a classroom.
1 in 10. According to the FDA, that's the number of U.S. middle and high school students who use e-cigarettes. In Texas, newly passed House Bill 114 requires that students who sell, give, have, or use a vape within 300 feet of school property be sent to a disciplinary alternative education program, or DAEP. While e-cigarettes were never allowed in most schools, Suzanne Hamilton, Waco ISD's Executive Director of Student Services, says that doesn't mean there still won't be an adjustment period.
But now that there is a mandatory DAP placement that comes along with it from the legislation, it's going to, unfortunately, probably surprise some parents the first time that maybe it happens.
One of the biggest concerns some districts have with the bill are the logistics of placing more students in alternative education. But Temple ISD's Christine Parks says the bill does allow for some wiggle room.
It is quite possible that we are going to have more students at our DAP. The good news is that House Bill 114 does provide some provisions about the length of those placements and the location.
As for what the bill changes, Waco ISD projects that one of the biggest changes could come from an unlikely place, because the consequences are the same regardless of age.
It's going to affect more so on the elementary campuses because there are a lot of times where kids pick up stuff they either find around their house or on the way to school. And so we still have mitigating factors that we have to take into consideration, which is the child's age, their intent, do they understand what they were doing? But this is sort of tying some hands when it comes to that discretionary placement that a campus administrator can do.
Another nearby state with a similar rule is Oklahoma, which now allows school officials to search students who are suspected of vaping. Reporting.
That was Nate Smith reporting. That new law goes into effect, by the way, September 1st.
If Iowa can have a strict truancy law, then Texas can have a strict no vaping law. State of Connecticut is a tobacco-free zone for all schools. A state law says you cannot be smoking on school property. You're automatically in trouble if you do. That's what the state of Connecticut did. The state of Iowa has a very strict truancy law where if your child doesn't go to school, you can go to jail. And now Texas is the state that is one of the states that are strict, that is very, very strict about vaping. And every school must have a vape-free zone, meaning it's a vape-free zone. You cannot be vaping in school, outside of school, 300 feet, at a school-sanctioned event. If you do, you are caught, you're going to alternative placement, and you may be going to jail. If you're under 21, you're breaking the law. You have an under 21 ID, that's a basic loophole for you. Your child has an under 21 ID, that's a legal loophole. Are you 21? Oh no, but here's my under 21 ID. I mean, that's maybe a fake ID, maybe a fake thing to do, but Texas should not be having these under 21 IDs. When I was growing up, you want an ID, you get your driver's license. That was your ID. And you gotta have a student ID with you. That was your only ID for the school. That was the only ID for the school. And as the new school year still approaches, as the new school year is still going on, parents are not sure what to do. So parents, heed this. You need to talk to your kids. You need to enforce the law. And if you see some kids vaping on school property, you need to nip it in the butt and let them know. Let a school official know. That way they can take care of it. Some school districts have police departments. Just talk to the school district police department in your school district, and they will take care of it. They will help you out. Let's end vaping in our schools. Let's end vaping in this state. As a matter of fact, I'm naming this new Facebook group if it ever happens. End vape in our schools, because this is very serious. This is a big deal here. If we don't put a stop to this, more and more kids, and we're going out there under the age of 18, smoking, doing some vape, bringing it to school, And parents are not nipping it in the butt long enough. So parents, you need to heed this warning. Talk to your kids, or you could be facing legal consequences. Not you, your child. Well, not really though. I mean, you could, in Texas, you could do community service with the child, and people have to be supervised, and your child has to be supervised. I mean, the court is working with the parents to resolve this issue. Just trying to understand this. I hate vaping. I never vaped. You need to talk to your kids immediately. In schools, keep on doing this. Try to understand what the hell is going on here and why the hell it needs to stop. Keep on enforcing this rule. Keep making it strict, and find a building to put. And Flabo, hear this. You need to do something. You have got to do something. Just find an alternative discipline place. Just nip it in the butt. Step up to the plate. We've got to do something about this. If we don't put a stop to this, it is going to be out of control. I'll be back in a moment. Finally this evening, our viral break. Nathaniel Sees. Here's 3 clips from Nathaniel Sees. His YouTube channel has gotten like a lot of views from viral TikTok videos. Like this one, putting peanut butter on donuts. Watch his reaction.
What's happening here?
Okay.
She putting that on a toilet brush.
Let's do one more for good measure.
Yeah, I love chocolate. That's good.
Take them donuts off of there.
Be amazing. So then this handle's gonna come in really useful later. And take some peanut butter.
For what?
This smelting is the best.
Wow.
Well, what is she doing?
Look at that peanut butter, and you use all of it. Okay, so just pour the egg.
Yeah.
Now she pouring eggs on it. Oh, my stomach bubbling.
Now you want to get this as even as possible. A little step here.
Oh my word!
What in the Krispy Kreme catastrophe?
Right back on there. Look at that. I love chocolate on everything.
Yes.
And so you can add sprinkle.
Ain't no way she finna eat that. Watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no thank you, toilet brush Tammy.
Here's one for the people who love ribs.
Baby back ribs.
It's a bathroom what?
A towel helps grip and remove the membrane.
Oh, my stomach bubbling already.
Char-Siu is an excellent rib rub.
At least he using seasoning, I guess. Now what he about to do?
Place your ribs in a 200-degree oven.
And he about to cook that with a hairdryer?
Roast for hours.
It's bad enough you cooking it in the bathroom, but you cooking it with that toilet air.
Leave with honey and return to oven for 3 more hours. Pretend you...
Put that lid down.
Tell me at my size here.
When did he add the corn on the cob and baked potato? And look, he about to eat that Motel 6 meat. Watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. But why the ribs low-key look good, though?
Two more, then we're gonna be done. It's just his reaction. Oh, my stomach bubbling. Watch this. Take a look.
And she put chips in the... What's happening here? What exactly is she making? I should have known the cheese was coming. Why does she keep pouring liquid on it? She'll season her chips, but not chicken. Oh, my stomach bubbling. And quit spanking them chips. I'm still confused. Is this supposed to be mashed potatoes? So she got a bowl to eat with, but not a bowl to mix with? Oh, I don't like the way that sound. Lord have mercy.
You could just make an endless amount for any party, and it's so good.
Good to who?
Okay, I'm gonna try it. Ooh, it's hot from that water.
And she about to take a bite. Watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on pale Penelope's sweet potatoes.
There was one that got me freaking... You see that thumbnail right there? You see that thumbnail? That got my attention. Take a look.
Don't you sit on that. What in the booty bakery? What is happening here? Your hair done got into the dough. Now why she couldn't just use her hands or a utensil? And now she gonna add the toe jam tomato sauce. Watch this, 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 watch this. Oh, my stomach bubbling. Get down from there.
Oh, God.
And then she gonna bite the basil, Lord have mercy. I hope this is a personal pan. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on the body part pizza.
And that made your stomach bubble. If that was if she was working and where I work, I would fire her immediately. You cannot be doing that crap. Tools is common sense. Baking pizza with your body part. I'll see you with Throwback Thursday. Let's give you a break for this Wednesday going to Thursday. Come on with Throwback Thursday and look into the hemisphere rectomy. That's giving you a break for Wednesday going to Thursday. We'll see you again for Throwback Thursday. Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you then. Body part pizza. Está loco, nombre.